Hi guys, welcome back to episode 2 of season 2 of The Liberal Conservative. I hoped that you enjoyed my off-the-cuff return, episode 1, season 2. I'm so glad to be back and to be recording and talking to all of you. So this episode, the title of today's episode is Signal and Sovereignty. And we're going to be discussing billionaire blocks and the battle for who gets to steer democracy. So, what happens when unelected tech billionaires have more distribution power than newspapers, more leverage than regulators, and more satellites than some countries? You get a new map of power. Tonight, the ties that bind the United States, France, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Italy, and how Elon Musk empire keeps showing up inside far-right political spheres worldwide. Why countries let it happen. What China's non-invasion posture really buys them, and what happens to the planet if the United States actually slides into authoritarianism. Spoiler alert, I don't think it will, but let's get honest about the risk and the plan. So, the map behind the headlines. I'm going to set the frame. The West is a network. It's NATO, the G7 summit, the EU, and the Five Eyes, which is the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. A lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people are actually shocked that Australia and New Zealand were included in the Five Eyes. And because a lot of people think like, okay, well, I'm going to move to New Zealand, right? Which is very hard to get citizenship there. But they think of some places as a safe place, and they don't know the actual tech surveillance that's going on basically all over the world. So security treaties and dollar clearance and supply chains, all of that together equals gravitational pull. And the reality check is that voters change governments, but the pipes and the payments and the energy and the logistics and the platforms are all what constrain choices day to day. So when you control a pipe and when you control the payments and the app stores and the satellites and the internet backbone, you don't really need to win elections to shape agendas. Power isn't only who writes the law. It's who owns the socket all the microphones plug into. So Elon Musk is an unelected power center. There's 3 levers. Distribution. He has that with X, formerly known as Twitter. As a real-time political megaphone, moderation shifts that critics argue boosted far-right visibility. Heads of state use it daily. He owns the infrastructure, Starlink, a dual-use communication pipe. In crisis, whoever controls the on-off switch wields geopolitical leverage. And industrial bargaining, jobs, factories, and investment that governments, courts giving him regular FaceTime with leaders. So infiltration versus access. We have to use clear language here. The far-right spheres organize and amplify on X. They gain oxygen when rules are loosened. That's not a ballot victory. It's a distribution victory. Countries tolerate it because they want investment. They want connectivity, resilience, military comms, redundancy, innovation clout, and PR. Regulators move slowly, elections move faster, platforms move instantaneously. Here's the punch. When a state relies on your satellites for wartime links or your factory for 10,000 jobs, you don't need to lobby. You just text. So let's do a country by country and how the ties show up. So France, for example. EU's Digital Service Act, DSA, pushes platforms on moderation and transparency. France wants strong enforcement and wants tech investment. The politics of France is that the far-right narratives have surged on social platforms, of course, because of X. And X is a prime rally point. Why tolerate it? Well, because industrial prestige, connective infrastructure, and the strategic wish to be a European tech hub without losing speech control. And that tracks. France wants the Louvre curation standards on platforms, but also wants the factory ribbon cutting photo op. So the UK, special relationship with the US. London is a finance and media capital. Right-leaning media ecosystems and aggressive social debate. X is a main stage there. Why do they tolerate it? Well, they attract AI and EV investment, keep a seat at the frontier tech table, and they leverage Starlink redundancy. The UK wants to be the host city for the future. You don't turn away the circus when you need the crowds. Canada, well, high integration with US economy, domestic push for platform accountability, news payments, and online harms. Polarization spikes around convoy politics, and X is a magnet for that discourse. Why does Canada tolerate it? Well, rural connectivity via satellites, economic interlock with US platforms, limited leverage to force outcomes without risking service withdrawal. When your northern expanse depends on satellites, you measure your words in megabits per second. Then there's Italy, the EU member, a NATO ally, current government courts conservative culture and foreign investments. Far-right content finds oxygen online, and the culture war messages overperform on X, because of course they do. They're being manipulated too. Why does Italy tolerate it? Well, desperation for manufacturing jobs and prestige, desire to be more than a tourist economy. Italy wants factories that say future, even if the sales pitch comes with politics attached. Across the West, the pattern holds. Regulate with one hand, roll out the red carpet with the other. So then you have China's contrasting playbook. And the nuance is that China isn't pacifist. A Korean War, border conflicts with India, Vietnam, internal repression, but its modern grand strategy has prioritized economic statecraft, ports, rail, rare earths, manufacturing scale. And what does that buy them? Fewer distant military entanglements than the US over the last 30 years. Influence via loans, infrastructure, and supply chains instead of alliance politics. And a narrative. We build, the West bombs. You can challenge that narrative while acknowledging why it lands. You can expand a sphere of influence with aircraft carriers or with cargo ships and factory contracts. Beijing picked cargo. If the US tilted authoritarian, the immediate fallout would be that alliances obviously would wobble. Europe hedges, financial markets price in political risk to the dollar, tech decoupling accelerates, platform capture, governmental pressure on platforms multiplies, moderation swings become policy weapons, and whistleblowers risk more. Obviously, civil liberties, protest policing escalates, immigration weaponized, reproductive and LGBTQIA+ rights targeted nationwide. We're already seeing all of these happening in small sectors. Remember, the United States is very big. So also then remember what I said that in the last episode, that legacy media amplifies the news that they want you to hear. So although it may seem like it's happening all over the country, and it is, but in very small sectors. It's not like they're going in and just being gangbusters like they did in Nazi Germany. That's not what's happening here, because it can't, because states still have law and order within their own borders. Media and money. The corporate media consolidates further. Independent outlets face legal financial harassment, donor class power concentrates, etc. And then global knock-ons. Authoritarians embolden, copycat laws, cross-border censorship deals. Democratic confidence drops, voter apathy rises. Paradoxically, making authoritarianism easier. I spoke about that on the last episode as well. It is very important to stay engaged. Authoritarian regimes want you to think that you have no power. And if you believe it, and then you allow them to take over, they do. I don't think America goes full fascist. Federalism, civil society, independent states, business interest, and a still plural media sort of are real guardrails. But guardrails don't drive the car. People do. I want to touch on, again, in general, why countries allow this kind of dependency over, oligarchs. And the short answer is that dependency plus leverage plus time equals they can line their pockets more, right? Dependency on jobs, investment, and connectivity. They leverage from infrastructure control, satellites, platforms, supply chains. And the time advantage is that platforms iterate hourly. Laws take years. The democratic dilemma is that we want open speech, but not weaponized disinformation. We want private investment, but not privatized sovereignty. We want fast innovation, but not captured regulators. We've outsourced too many public goods to private pipes, and now the bill is due. So, in closing, what's the plan? Not just the problem. Well, 5 things that actually move the needle, and here they are. Transparency, interoperability. For dominant platforms, algorithms and ads under audit. Procurement rules that treat critical communications like infrastructure. Public oversight for private satellites that carry public risk. Antitrust, but with teeth in the US and coordinated with the EU and the UK. Enforcement to keep distribution from collapsing into 1 or 2 megaphones. Civic resilience. It's fundamental. Fund local media and independent investigative outlets. Teach verification skills in schools. Election hardening. Paper trails, nonpartisan administration, rapid legal adjudication of disputes. If the 20th century was about conquering land, then the 21st century has to be about conquering distribution. Our job isn't to worship the people who own the pipes. It's to make sure the public isn't shut off. I'm Judy. This is The Liberal Conservative, Season 2. We see the board and we play to win. See you next week.